to do that for the thumbnail real quick. Maybe I'll include that as a blooper. But welcome back to the project. We're here with another video. I was gonna make one yesterday, but I didn't end up getting to it. I ended up watching a show and just hanging out with the kids and whatnot. Just living life. Wasn't really in the work time. Just got busy and then I got away. So I'm here today because I really enjoy broadening my intellect, deepening my theology, my philosophy, really thinking about life and just going on with it. I wrote down, I've been writing more consistently in the project journal. So I got the journal here. This one's the project journal. It's been very good to write down like my day, debrief my important thoughts, I guess. Like I only write down one page, like that's my limit. So I make sure, way over here, I only write down one page, that's my limit. I only make sure I even use the very top all the way down, all the way left to right. My date every time I do write. So I started the project July 13th. It is now August 1st. So I've written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. Oh yeah, 10 times in the past about a little over 2 weeks. So not a terrible start. Do want to be more consistent on it. I want to fill in a whole journal, and then I even wrote in my catch-all book for the first time. I don't know if I showed that last episode, but got in the catch-all book. If you don't know what a catch-all book is, it's pretty much just a book where you write down everything. So I wrote down my notes for 729's episode, and you just carry it around with you if you need to write down anything in it. You just from grocery list or just thoughts of the day, but that's kind of what this is, the project. So this is what's more of a common book, but it's just a notebook. Anyways, so the project, I finally got more of a definition for it because my first video, you are following along. I know there's a few views dangling along, but maybe you'll go back and trace what's going on. You don't have to. But the project, it's a time in history. It's a time period in history while I'm building my theology, philosophical knowledge, and recording history. So I kind of had been having a few breakthroughs or epiphanies, in my opinion, where like they're good for me to building foundations on kind of where to start thinking and expand from there. Because they're just like, you can think about anything, there's no right way of thinking, but this stuff has definitely helped keep me organized and remembering things, because I can remember a lot of things, but if I don't technically write it down, I can store it in a way and then just never talk about it again or bring it up again. But now I have like talking points and stuff to remember. That's kind of what the vlog is for, just to go on with the journey, just to build people to talk to, I guess. Like, I don't know yet. I do want to join some sort of book club. There is one I do want to join. It is with a philosopher who has this degree and stuff. They go over books. I don't know how it works yet, but I wouldn't mind joining. So that's kind of what the project is. And I was thinking at a point in time when I feel like life kind of politically and the world really felt like a shift change to me. And I was thinking down recently, so COVID was a big deal. COVID was 2020 pandemic. And then we had 2016 prior to that, we had the big Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump election. Then before that, we had Harambe. I feel like Harambe was a turning point and started off as as a meme, internet meme. So Harambe is a gorilla who was holding a kid. I don't remember really how it went. Excuse me. And there was a kid who fell into the zoo. It's a gorilla, and then Harambe is holding him around. But they're saying that's how Harambe, the gorilla, would carry any baby, and he was protecting him. I don't remember how old the kid was, like let's say 3 to 5. I don't know, but in that age, small child. And so I don't know who killed him, but they killed the gorilla, but they said they shouldn't have. He was protecting the kid. Anyways, long story short, internet was saying free Harambe, rest in peace Harambe, and they made shirts and they made this meme of him in heaven, and he's like the top of the stairway of heaven, and I don't know if it's actually Harambe or just a gorilla, but it's probably Harambe. And so after that time, there's been an internet theory or a joke, kind of a running gag, saying that ever since Harambe died, the world has just gone to shit. It's honestly somewhat kind of true, because then we had the elections. I feel like I didn't really care about politics, but I felt like everyone else around me at the time that it was such a big deal. Like growing up, we had George W. Bush, or yeah, I guess we did, but we had John McCain versus Barack Obama, and then we had Barack Obama versus, Hillary Clinton was running, and then, I don't know, we just had I remember kind of growing up and hearing about it, and it wasn't like the biggest deal, but I remember seeing it on the TV a lot of commercials, propaganda we'll get into maybe, and so a lot of propaganda going on. And then we had that, and I feel like that was a big decider. And then we had pandemic and the George Floyd stuff that's happened. I feel like there's some just peak moments in our, at least in my perspective, my history. And I feel like we have to talk about these things from different perspectives to get the truth out, I guess. Not to say that I am telling the truth. That actually sounded bad. I am telling from my knowledge, but my perspective, meaning like you have no real reason to believe me besides what I write down in my trust. But in history, we go off manuscripts, meaning like, let's say we find a manuscript describing how something we had no knowledge of came across, we can somehow read the tablet or tablets that we find. And it changes how we look at history or time period or what actually happens, gives us more information about something we had no idea about. I feel like, so that's kind of, that was what I wrote about today anyway. This was today's writing, this is yesterday's. And so today's writing, I was writing about that, saying how important manuscripts are, because we have like very minimal manuscripts of like Julius Caesar or people like that, or Plato even. We have very few manuscripts. Like we just have very few manuscripts about these people. But when you write about yourself and the things you experience and your history, your perspective, and things that just in general, writing stuff down is very important. I think it tells history because it's you're documenting stuff. It's just good to document it. Like a written down history is very scarce, and that's part of the reason why we don't know a lot of our history. I used to not be a history dude. I don't know a lot of history, but I am definitely deep diving into it. Like the rise and fall of the Third Reich, I'm on page like 450 right now. This is the part of the book I already read, so we're getting into that. I do want to do another full review on it eventually, but I reviewed it on the last video. So what's kind of the purpose? Like purpose is a big struggle with people, and I had almost an epiphany. I put it in a spectrum is the best way to explain it. Like people are thinking about different things. You're on this side, you're on this side. It's just a spectrum. There's no one side better than the other. You're just on one of the sides. So one thing I was thinking about is that people have so many different problems in their own way. So like their own world, like everybody's in their own world. Everybody's in a tunnel vision. People stay in their lane, people jump lanes, but they're driving their own boat. They may not be like, they may be letting the current or the waves steering the boat for them, but it's their boat, meaning it's your life. You're in control of everything regardless of anything that happens to you. Because all you really can control in life is your reaction to things. Yes, we have free will. In my personal opinion, I believe we have free will. And kind of had a brain fart. And doing what you want to do is who we are. And so that's what I was back here. Sorry, we'll skip some parts out. So the spectrum is pretty much saying that, let's say you're a person who doesn't have the same problems as this person. So meaning this person on this part of the spectrum, it could be wherever, but I'm just pointing my hand on the left. There's no end, so this isn't the end of the spectrum. It goes on forever. The spectrum right here is, there's no middle. The spectrum on this side, though, we can make a middle. Sorry. The spectrum on this side is saying that this person has an issue with drugs, but I personally don't have an issue with drugs. So therefore, my problems aren't going to be related to this guy's problems. I'm not saying the point of this isn't to have different problems, but that's his main focus, meaning he's either worried about drugs, he or she, or worried about getting off them or how to get them. That's kind of their world. That's what they're worried about going on. And let's say this person is worried about love. So they're worried about, they just got a divorce, or they just met somebody. A lot of things can happen with love. And I am married, so I'm not saying I'm not worried about it. You have to date your spouse regardless. But besides that, like I can come home to my best friend knowing that she's always there for me. So I don't have that personal problem. So I feel like that's why I'm able to deep dive into philosophy. Sometimes it might not even matter for love. But then you have people, let's go to the extreme side. You have people who are like related to the rise and fall of the Third Reich. Yeah, people like Adolf Hitler who are planning to take over the world out of whatever, whatever rage they have inside or whatever personal reasons they have for taking over the world. My greater good is the reason why the world will be better. And so you have people on that aspect. There's so many people worried about different things that it kind of becomes your world. And so the other part of it is you have your own world and what you're thinking, what you're surrounding yourself. Everybody's in different circumstance. You're dealt with the cards in your hand, meaning your environment where you're born, that definitely matters. Who you're born to, their status, if your parents were married, if you had siblings, like how you grow up, that definitely matters. Location and environment, like that's such a big deal. It shapes who you become. It doesn't mean who you'll end up, but it shapes your future years 100% for sure. And so you have that random card in play when your parents choose to have you and you just happen to be the person with the consciousness, which is crazy. Consciousness is such a crazy thing to me. And so you have all these people. So when you're worried about, I think what has happened, and I don't know, this is just like conspiracy side, I guess. This is just me thinking. I'm just talking thoughts out loud. There's no bad thoughts. Like, I guess there is, but in the philosophical world, when you're trying to just brainstorm. I'm brainstorming. That's a better way of saying it with the conspiracy. So the world has just been, I feel like it's always hectic, especially if you know history. Like back then, everybody would conquer or fight for land and this and that. My point is that we live in such a privileged world, at least in America, like I said, with the environment and depending on who you're born with. I know people say America is great, but they're in a shit situation, so they feel like they hate it. But that's besides the point. What I'm saying is, for the common person, and if you're born in America, you do have a great chance of being something if you apply yourself. It's not guaranteed, but you have a higher chance of it. And that's so, we are in a privileged state, meaning not like a state we live in, but in a mindset, privileged mindset state. So we are able to focus on things that other people aren't able to focus on. Like we can look at art and go play sports and play video games and do different things knowing our daily life is probably secure. And so when you get in that comfortable mindset, when you really know about history, there's like that side of history, then there's the warfare side of history. And I feel like we haven't had that type of warfare since World War II. Like, yes, we've had little skirmishes here and there, but nothing to the extent of that. Like back then, because the world is globalized now, meaning like everybody has been explored, quote unquote explored. So there's no new land to conquer, no new people to take over. It's kind of barbaric. We've kind of settled down. But that's not our primal instincts, and I feel like we're just brewing stuff up. Like, I don't know, war is almost inevitable. We've been in a few, especially the Iraq war growing up as a kid, and then the Iran war we got going on now. We're not in it, but we're in it, and it's kind of how it starts with every war. We're like everybody's big brother, America is. And so it's kind of like, it's always, it's easy to talk crap when you're on the winning team. You can say you hate it and whatnot, but you're on the winning team, so it's like it doesn't really affect you. You're just saying what you want to say, what propaganda guides you. Because when you're on the losing team, I'm sure that sucks. When you're in a country that's just, because people like, America isn't the best. We do have our problems, but for the most part, I can still go become a multi-millionaire, billionaire tomorrow. Like the odds are super freaking low, but there's a chance. Some people don't even have the chance. People are worried about what they're going to eat and stuff like that. We can go, like if people in America, people the common like me, the common citizen, can go and work 2 jobs tomorrow and then gamble or win the lottery. There's so many things that could possibly happen that we're just in a very privileged state. And I feel like it's not bad, but when you become unaware of how not self-sufficient you are as a person, like you lose a lot of things, like starting a fire without a lighter or anything, like where it's so convenient. Like how many people can really just start a fire? I've never done it, but I know how, but I've never just started one. So it'd probably take a long time, but I feel like I'd eventually get it done. But realistically, like how many people know how to start a fire, like how to detect what mushrooms are good, what berries are good. Like we've lost that survival where we've become like self-centered almost, meaning like we're not self-sufficient. I feel like that's not good in the long run for people, because when you think about it, back then from 100 years ago plus, yeah, if you were in a city, you were probably okay, but for the most part, you were worried about how to, even back then, like you were just worried about survival though. Survival was your job. Like being bored was not an option. Like I'm sure back then for the most part, but for the common person, I'm just thinking history. I'm probably, if I'm not making sense, the thoughts just keep going. What I'm trying to get to pretty much is that it's be better for humans to get better, really look at yourselves physically, mentally, and everything to help provide to build a greater world. In order to build a greater world, you have to grab a community and you have to be the change, starting with yourself. You can't change the world if you don't change yourself, and I'm really adamant about that. So I've been trying really hard. This is kind of the philosophical dive that I'm going down to help somebody. Even if it helps one person, I've done better than people who aren't doing anything, who are just living life. And that's okay. It's your option. It's your free will. But my goal is to preserve, I don't know if we have freedom, but for the freedom we do, realistically, we have a lot of fucking freedom still. It hasn't been fully taken away, and I feel like that's why it's hard for things to go the way they go. Anyways, point is, we can do better as a group. We need to do better as a group. I don't know how we'll get there, or even if we'll get there. I'm a God believer, so the Bible doesn't really feel like we're going to get there until Jesus comes back, but that's separate if you're not into the theology stuff. That's not what this is about. But I'm not afraid to proclaim my belief in God, Jesus. But yeah, just had to get the thoughts out today. I feel like that was a decent video. Still hoping to get a mic eventually, maybe a camera even better. But all right,